Yes, born and raised, Miami. I grew up in Coral Gables, but I'd say I spent most of my life, between downtown and all the way through to, Palmetto Bay, where I went to high school. Growing up, when it was more family dinners and we'd always go out on Sundays as a family. There's a lot of restaurants in South Miami, Coconut Grove, Coral Gables we like to go to. So, everything from Cafe Abraci, which is still there, which was like a all birthday kind of favorite for us, to even some places that don't exist anymore, like Rudy's. I don't know if you remember Rudy's. It was a kind of fast food joint that was down on US 1. Deli Lane Cafe, Fox's was, of course, as I got a little bit older, something that we'd go to. And then, as far as bars go, when I came back from college, my perspective of Miami grew a bit, because we didn't really, growing up in the south side of the county, we really didn't go to places as much on the beach or Design District area, or kind of the rest of how Miami's kind of grown into the north. So as I got to experience some of more of a wider spread of Miami, some bars that we would always like to go to were Max Club Deuce. There's a lot of dive bars on the beach that don't exist anymore, but Free Spirits. There's On the Rocks, which is in North Miami. I want to say a car went through the front window of the joint once, and they just never, instead of actually repairing the window, they just decided they'd stay open for 24 hours. So it would just be always open. But those are the kind of places that I wound up growing, kind of into as far as bars. Yeah. So Lost Boy, really happened by mistake for me. My family, we were in retail in downtown Miami for 50 years. We had a department store that actually started in the DuPont building. We kind of moved it around after a couple decades, but still stayed in downtown Miami. And so Lost Boy started as a denim shop when we were expanding our retail footprint. We wanted to continue to open shops along Flagler Street. And one of our first was a denim shop called Lost Boy. During that period, South American economies crashed in 2014. A lot of the customer base that we were selling to just wasn't there anymore. And as a family, we decided to get out of retail. I didn't want to get rid of the build out. We spent a lot of time, energy, creativity in building this denim shop. And I said, well, downtown Miami does not have a neighborhood bar. It's never had this consistent kind of drinking hole that other neighborhoods, and we talked about Max Club Deuce, Fox's was one of those, that these neighborhoods had this consistent kind of place where you can go, you knew you were going to get a drink at a good price, and it wasn't going to be, a hassle. So really I kind of found a business partner, Chris Hudnall, who had been in hospitality his whole life. I needed someone who could guide me through, not selling underwear and dressing mannequins like I had been doing, and kind of that was the birth of turning Lost Boy into a bar. And so we started with that, and it was kind of a little bit of a side project for he and I, and I think on day one we had 200 people in there for happy hour, and we were like, okay, we're on to something. Yeah, it's evolved quite a bit since I've been coming here as a kid. When we had the store, my first job was picking up pins off the floor at the department store. So I've seen it go through its ups and downs. I didn't really understand, appreciate those 80s and 90s when business was really flourishing, people were coming downtown to shop. As I grew older and recollect more, I saw the decline after Hurricane Andrew, and the businesses that had left, and even our department store went from having 120 employees to having 10. So now seeing other neighborhoods and how quickly they grow in Miami, I've seen downtown still have a very slow growth, and it's, it's always like, okay, it's coming back, but then 10 years later, we're still doing construction on the street. You still got empty storefronts. But it's inevitable, being the heart of the city, the location of it. It's gone a long way from where I was carrying a hammer in my pocket to, on my walk home from closing the store, because it was, you didn't have people walking around, to now everyone's got a dog and everyone's on the street and people are now bar hopping. We're one of 5, 6 in the area that people come down to see. And you can finally start to see that hump is that eclipse is moved on. I think we're right about to kind of see where, it's downtown Miami's time. Well, Chris left his cush hospitality job, and we decided to go full time. And we had some other opportunities that came our way for us to grow and continue building concepts that we felt were missing in different parts of neighborhoods in Miami. So the first one that we wound up continuing on with after Lost Boy was on Espanola Way. And so, a very historic street that had you might not even call it a decline, but a change from locals going there to, very touristy, and a lot of the restaurants had been, catering to one demographic. And so we partnered with a group that was buying up a lot of the properties there, and we wanted to kind of bring back a local feel. And so when we went over to that property, we started kind of exploring this Spanish concept that, we always dig in our own histories and our own family and our own kind of experiences. And so my father's Cuban, but my grandfather's Spanish. So we came through Cuba to Miami through Spain. And so Tropezone is the name of the one bar that was in my grandfather's hometown, where all the old men would go and play cards in the afternoon, and the women would talk about the day over sherry. And so we decided to open up this gin's very popular in Spain. One of our most popular drinks at Lost Boy was a gin and tonic. So we kind of took that momentum and decided to just go into a really larger concept all about gin, different flavors of infused gin and tonics, and paired with different aromatics and these beautiful, ball goblets that are very Spanish. And Tropezone was born. So, obviously in hospitality, COVID, and it was highlighted in news, and the first things to shut down were always restaurants and bars. And so it affected the industry, very significantly. But you see even now, for those who are able to kind of, come over those first couple of hurdles and challenges, it really kind of gave a really good time period for us in growth to sit and really think about these concepts. I think Fox's, the way we've built it out, wouldn't have been as intricate if we rushed it, if it happened too quickly. So it gave us this opportunity to really reflect and pause and start to really think through everything from design to the menus, it really just overall on hospitality, we were able to really take a better look at how we want to approach it. I like to brunch, so if I'm not, at my own restaurants, I like to go to others. In all honesty, this is, I say it's new, it's been 5 years for me working in hospitality, but I still feel like it's a new industry. And, I am very fortunate. I feel like I found, a career. In retail, I know my family, we loved it, but I just didn't find, the days that my uncle or my father and my grandfather, experienced in retail that made them fall in love with it, I just didn't get to see. And so now with hospitality, I've really found a career that I'm really passionate about. And it honestly doesn't feel like work. When I'm not working, I draw, and I'm drawing the next bar or restaurant or reformatting something. Then one of our existing places, I do a lot of the design and construction. So, the last 3 to 4 years, when I find myself in my free time, I find myself wanting to continue working on my hospitality projects because it is something I really love. It's just now about us, getting our wheels turning and staying consistent and making sure, we're executing on, this very special memory-driven project. But on our other businesses, Lost Boy, we really have a lot of live music performances that we've built on, especially on Wednesdays, that you can come in and you get a bottle of wine and see a live performance, which in Miami, unless you're going to an arena, there's not many places to see live music. And of course, being a soccer kind of pub, we're really looking forward to World Cup coming up, which is going to be hopefully a headquarters for it. And then at Tropezone, we have some really cool summer programming in our courtyard that's in the back. We have on Saturdays we have also a little bit of a live performance, Spanish guitar player, more drink specials in the courtyard, and then on Sundays once a month we're doing a paella Sunday, so homemade paella right there in the courtyard, and then Miami Spice of course has just started, so Tropezone will be doing that. Yeah, there's quite a few nowadays in Miami, which is a great thing. But I've always been a fan of Michael's Genuine. Downtown, I love New Kitchen, Soy Pomodoro, Mama Tried. On the beach, we got the Drexel, and then of course my favorite watering hole, the Abbey. So it was another one that kind of initially just fell into our laps in the sense that we were brought to the property, which most people thought was demolished. They redid the facade, Salty Donut was next door, they put windows all in the front, and so I think even myself, we all thought, the Fox's structure was gone. So we get brought there to kind of, as just an interest to see about doing a restaurant or a bar on the property. And on arrival, I realized we were inside that it is the exact same building. Nothing's been changed. You can still see the line, the curve of the line of the bar in the floor. And, Chris and I were talking and we said, okay, we can do something here. And I was like, yeah, but who wants to sit, on US 1 and look out the windows and, relax in a bar? It's always, it's a big, high volume street. And he said, well, how about we kind of flip it a bit and we do the liquor store on the front and we'll build the lounge in the back, or we'll build a bar in the back. If we do, what should we do the concept? I'm like, look, we're doing something here. It's got to be Fox's again. And so just that initial kind of, banter of ideas between Chris and I got us reading about some of the articles that had come out when they closed. And you just look at the comment section and you can just see the riot that was going to happen because they were closing, or just what it meant. And that started a really a 2-year to 3-year pathway for us of reaching out to old owners, reaching out to old former waitresses and busboys and servers, and there was one person led to 3, led to my niece's water polo coach, who then, just like all of these connections that we started to really see, what an establishment like that really meant to South Miami. Still gonna have all of the specials from the martini with the sidecar to prime rib on Thursdays, thumb bits, which has always been a big, a favorite of Fox's and signature, the French onion soup. The darkness of the inside's back, You know, the cocktail selection is the exact same. Our beverage menu is the exact same that it used to be. I mean, we really kind of went through, you know, maybe a couple of things that were taken off that, you know, were on that original menu. But for the most part, it's a sincerely recreation of what Fox's used to do. Even from reaching out to old vendors who had invoices from when Fox's was operating, so we know what products they were buying. Yes, there's quite a few, and I don't know, you know, how much you want to censor on some of it, because they can get quite colorful. You know, I think someone was saying that, you know, relationships were made and relationships were broken at Fox's. You know, it's one of those type of legendary places. But a couple of the stories, one, George Andrews, who was the second owner, who had it for 40 years. I speak to him, you know, every once in a while, and every time I get a little tidbit of something. The last one was how the coach of the University of Miami Hurricanes, Jimmy Johnson, would always come to Fox's, and when he was getting hired by the Dallas Cowboys, they knew where to find him, and obviously no cell phones back then. So in order to find him, they knew where to call, and so they called the payphone at Fox's to let him know that he was hired for the Dallas Cowboys. So when we heard that story, you'll see now that there's a payphone on site. So we've incorporated some of the, you know, myths into it. Well, you know, there was a 2-bedroom bed and breakfast. It was the inn, right? The full name of the property was Fox's Sharon Inn. And Fox's Lounge was the restaurant downstairs, and upstairs there was a 2-bedroom bed and breakfast that they always said was rentable by the hour. So I think there was always these, you know, stories of whether it was doctors and nurses or pilots and stewards coming to Fox's, and you know, leave it at that.